Hi everyone, welcome to SplunkGuru. So now we are going to see how to deploy the search head clustering. If you have seen my previous video, we have discussed about the concept of search head clustering. What what is search head clustering? What it exactly does? How it helps us? We discussed it in detail actually. So if you haven't seen that video, you can just go back and watch that first to get the clear understanding of the topic first, right? Before jumping into the demo session that we are going to do it now. So we discussed about search head clustering, its benefits, the key components of search head clustering, and then lastly we discussed about how to deploy it. So now today, using those steps, I will show you how to deploy the search head clustering. Okay, so let's begin. So for that, I have already provisioned 4 instances in AWS Cloud. You can see here, and just for reference, I've given them the name as the first instance as the deployer and all other 3 members as the SH123. So one instance I need to configure as a deployer, and the other 3 nodes I'm going to configure them as a search head clustering members, because the minimum number of members you need 3, right, in search head clustering. That's what we discussed in the previous video. Fine. So the configuration steps, whatever we have seen in the previous video, I'm just going to use those steps and will configure it now. And I've logged into the front end of these instances as well. So as of now, if you'll see, it's just the fresh installation. Nothing is configured. Here you will see all these options. So this first instance, we will configure it as a deployer, and then these 3 other instances will configure them as a search head clustering members. So as of now, if you see, you can see all these options, right? But you don't see anything related to search head clustering as of now in all these 3 instances, right? So once the search head clustering is enabled and all these members joins that, you will see a change here in this web UI. You won't be able to see all these options once the search head clustering is enabled. Many of these options will go away because those are not relevant to the search head clustering. And similarly, on the deployer side, if you go to the backend and if you go to Splunk installation directory inside etc, if you list down the files here, so you don't see anything related to SH clustering as of now, right? You see these manager apps, master apps, but for search head clustering, like which directory you need to use to push the apps, add-ons, custom configs to your search head clustering members, you don't see anything as of now because we haven't configured the deployer as of now. Okay, so let's configure the deployer first, and these are the commands that I have shown you in the previous video, so I'm just going to use them. So for deployer, you just need to add this Stenja SH clustering by adding any, like this key. So this key will be required. If you are passing any key here, you just need to make sure that you are passing this key when you are initiating the search head clustering on all your members, because they need to communicate with the deployer, right? So for example, I'm using it as Splunk deployer. Cluster label, as I said, it's not mandatory, but it's useful to configure the monitoring in the monitoring console. So you can easily identify like which search head clustering you want to monitor. So just to give it a tag, right? So you can leave it default as such cluster1, or you can change it as well, or you can just remove it as well. So it's not mandatory. For members, so we'll move to the members later. Let's configure the deployer first. So go to deployer, and we'll be editing the server.conf in all 4 instances inside system local. But if you want, you can use any custom app as well. Fine. So having said that, let's begin. Go to opt Splunk etc system, right? And here you should have local directory. So you can see we have server.conf here. We will just open it in a editing mode and we'll add the SH clustering extension. Fine. So I'm going to the end of this file and then we'll add this SH clustering extension there. Fine. So once this is done, you just need to save it and restart this Splunk. And we'll see if it changes anything. So let's observe that first before moving to the members which will be joining the search head clustering. Okay, so the restart is about to complete now. And once the restart completes, we will go back to the Splunk web and we'll see if any changes there. And even on the backend, we will observe inside etc if any new directory has been created. Fine. So firstly, go to front end. See if you see any changes here. So login. And if you click settings, you don't see any changes here, right? It's same as previous. But if you go to the back end and if you go to etc and list down, so now you can see this SH cluster directory here, right? Which was not previously present. So after enabling, adding that SH clustering extension in server.conf, you can see this SH cluster directory has been created here. And that's the directory using which we will be pushing the add-ons, apps, custom configs to your search head clustering members. So just keep in mind that anything that you need to push to your search head clustering members, you need to create that inside this SH cluster directory and then you can apply the changes to your search head clustering members. Fine, now let's move to the search head clustering members. So this is my first instance. And here you need to make sure, so once you execute this init, once you execute init SH clustering command on all your members, you need to make sure that you need to pass the same instance IP. This is what we discussed during the overview session as well. So you need to pass the same instance IP hostname here, not any other instance IP. So fine, let's modify it and then execute it on all our members. So on the first member, Splunk init SH clustering config auth and then the username password. So this one username password you can define explicitly or you can enter after executing the command as well if you do not provide it here explicitly. So I will not use this auth parameter here. I will provide it when it prompts. Management URI. So the same instance. Like now we are going to execute it on the cluster member 1. This one. So I'll pick its IP and then use it here. Management port, you know by now, 8089. Replication port, anything you can use, but we are going to use 8080. Whichever available port is there, you can use that. And you need to make sure that the network configs are done properly. The port should be open, right? So because all your cluster members, search head cluster members need to communicate with each other on this port. Replication factor, as I said during last session, it's not mandatory and the default value is 3. So even if you do not define, it will consider it as a 3, but we will define it explicitly here. Application factor 3. Conf deploy fetch URL. So this is the important thing. So in in the search head clustering, what happens, like it works both ways actually. Your deployer can push the configs to your search head clustering members, and even your search head clustering members can pull the configurations from the deployer. So that here you need to provide your deployer IP or host name. So let's pick the deployer's IP and use it there. So that's the deployer's IP and then management port. Just make sure that you are using HTTPS management port at 089. Secret key. So secret key, you need to make sure whatever secret key you have used while configuring the deployer, you need to use the same key when initiating the clustering on all your search members. Otherwise, the connection will fail. So we have used this key when configuring the deployer. You need to use the same key. Label again, label should be same across all the instances, deployer as well as the cluster members. Fine. So this is command is ready for your search head cluster 1. Let's execute it. So we'll execute it on the search head cluster 1 first. And now, as I said, if you do not provide username password explicitly, it will ask. So let's enter it now. Now you can see search head clustering has been initialized on this node, right? And you need to restart this instance. So before moving to the other instances, let's restart Splunk on this instance first and observe the changes on the front end. In meanwhile, let me prepare the command for the search head member 2. So pick the search head member 2 IP and then change it. That's the only change we need to do. Everything else is going to remain same. So this one we executed on search head 1. Let's prepare the query for all 3 members. Fine. So pick the SH2 IP and you need to provide it here. Everything else is going to remain same. Similarly, do it for SH3, search head 3, because we want all these members to join the search head clustering, right? So we need to initialize the clustering in all 3 members. Fine. So before executing, before initializing the SH clustering on member 2 and 3, let's log into search head 1 and see what changes you see there on the front end. So log in. And if you see here, you can see right under clustering, many of the options went away. You are no longer seeing those. And you can see that a new heading, new button has been added, search head clustering, right? So if you click on search head clustering, let's see what it says. It says that search head clustering is not ready as of now because it's looking out for the other members to join the search head clustering, and even we need to bootstrap the captain, right? So that's the process to configure the search head clustering. So now quickly initialize these SH clustering on member 2 and 3 and then see what happens. So this is on SH2, and we'll restart Splunk. Do it on SH3 as well. Restart Splunk. Okay. So once these two nodes, search at 2 and search at 3 restart completes, we will log into the front end. We'll see if the front end options menu, what we were seeing earlier, those got changed or not. And we'll try to see the status of search at clustering as well. Okay, so I think that the restart is done on the node 3. 2 is also done now. Fine. So let's go back. Log into search at member 2. And you see here, all other irrelevant options went away. You are just seeing the things which are really required for the search ad. Because earlier it was the full instance, now we have configured it as a member of the search ad clustering. Similarly on the search ad 3 as well. However, one thing to note, you can still click on show all settings to let appear Splunk all the menus what you were seeing earlier, right? So you can always use that if you need to check out for anything else. This option is always there. Fine. So now what we need to do, we have initialized the search at clustering in all three members, but still one thing is pending, right? We need to bring up the captain now. So for that, you just need to execute this command on the instance which you want to act as a search at clustering captain, right? If you remember that. So in our case, we will configure our search at member 1 as to act as a captain as well. So along with search at clustering member, it will take additional responsibilities of acting as a captain as well. And you know, like, why do we need captain? What's its responsibilities? So if you haven't know it by now, you can just go back, watch my previous video again in detail, watch it completely to get the clear understanding of the role of the captain. Fine. So here what it changes you need to make sure that you provide all the members IP along with the management port. Username password we will not make it the part of the query. We will provide it when it prompts. Fine. So let's pick all the search at member IPs along with the port. So this is SH1. This is SH2. And you need to provide comma separated, right? So all the members where you initialize the clustering and you want them to join the clustering, you need to pass all those servers IPs or hostname along with the port. Fine. So now let's bootstrap the captain. So we'll go to member 1 and we'll execute it. So Splunk bootstrap SH cluster captain and then the servers list, because in our case we have 3 search ads and we want them to be part of the SH clustering. So we are providing all 3 instance IPs along with the management port. Enter. Asking for the username password, so you just need to provide it. And now you can see this message, right? Successfully bootstrapped this node as the captain. So now this node will act as a captain. Let's go back. If you see if the search head clustering is ready by now, or it may take few minutes to show you the status. And you can check using any of the members front end, and even on the back end you can use the command to show SH cluster status. So just wait for a few seconds and we'll come back to see what's the status of the search head clustering. Fine. So as you can see now, the SH clustering is ready. You can see all your three members joined the SH clustering. You can see SH1 is acting as a captain. So now your SH clustering is configured, but how to validate it? But before validating it, so as I said, you can either check the status using the front end by logging to any of the search members, or you can use the backend command to check the status. So this command you can execute on any of the members. Let's try it on the SH3. And the command again, like it's a Splunk command, so it has to be executed from the opt Splunk win, like basically from the Splunk win directory. So Splunk, so and then it's SH cluster status. So if you run this, it will ask for the username password, and you can see here, right? So our captain is dynamic captain. If this is a node 1, if the search at member 1 goes down, if it crashes, if it leaves the network, your other nodes, other members in the search at clustering will elect the new member as a captain. So that election happens automatically. You do not need to worry about that. Fine. So you can see here that you have three members in your search at clustering, and member 1 is acting as a captain. So even using the backend commands, you can always check the search at clustering status. Now to validate whether it's working fine or not, what we will do on the search at node 2, we will try to create a user here. So let's try to create a user and see if that artifact gets replicated to all other members in the search at clustering, because that's the idea behind implementing the search at clustering, right? So like all the artifacts gets replicated across all the search at clustering members. So click on here, users name, you can provide anything, test, power user, and then click OK. It needs the password as well, so I'll give test only. Test 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, and then create. Fine. So we have created this user test on the search head node 2. So now we need to see whether this user has been replicated to all other members in the search head clustering. So go back to search head node 1, check under users if that user got replicated or not. Perfect. So you can see that user got created here as well on the search head 1. Similarly, if you go to search head 3, you should be able to see that user here. Fine, you can see, right? So that's how search head clustering works. If you want me to test one more thing, so on the search head node 1, let's try to create one sample report here, and then we'll see if that report gets replicated to all other members in the search head clustering. Fine, so I will save it as a report. We'll give it any random name, users list, and save it. So here under reports, you will be able to see that report because we have created here on this instance. search head 1. But now we will go to search head 2, and we created it inside search and reporting. So you need to make sure that you are checking under the right place. Click on reports, and you can see the report got replicated to search head 2 as well. Here as well you can see. So that's the one way I told you that you can click on the same app and check under reports. Secondly, you can click on settings, and here you can list on all the saved searches. So search reports, and you can see the report got replicated to search head member 3 as well. So that's how the search head clustering works, and you can see the ultimately like the your artifacts are getting replicated across all your search head members. Fine. So I hope the concept has been very clear to you for now. And if you have any doubts, just let me know in the comment box and we can discuss more on that. In next video, I'll show you how to push the apps or add-ons from the deployer to your search head cluster members. Till then, bye bye. Thanks.